Of course, looking at the wildcard lineup right now, you don't have too many fantastic options to synergize with the Grimstroke if he gets the Soul Bind down. I suppose maybe you could double up some of the Bane spells, but it really feels like if your wildcard, the utility that the Grimstroke brings, even without doubling up any spells, is still going to be pretty good, especially as you said, if the Void can get that Aghanim Scepter, you throw that Inkswell onto him, he jumps in, he just wreaks havoc, and right now DogChamp don't really have a frontliner to keep him at arm's length.
Yeah, and I think that's where we would love to see our hero coming in from speed, but it's not really feeling all too obvious. You'd want someone who can actually chain down the Void Spirit. Honestly, they would love to have Pitward themselves, but it's where Wildcard have definitely gotten, I want to say, the better exchange in terms of heroes because, well, Speed's either banned out or he's going to be put on something completely new. I think every single hero he's played in the tournament thus far has been taken away right now unless we see him maybe get pushed onto the Nature's Prophet. But I don't think you want to see him play that hero in this game. We've already seen NP versus Pitward in the tournament. It's not impossible, but it's definitely not fun. At the same time, versus Void Spirit, I feel like you'd put yourself in a very vulnerable position. But DogChamp would love an offlaner that could flex as a carry because, hey, they've got last pick. They'd love to see some of that, but
Oh,
okay, we saw this before. We saw them very confidently pick it. It's the EU effect on these NA teams saying, hey, Alchemist is doing pretty well in those EU pubs. Maybe we should pick it up here. Whether or not it's going to work out, though, before we saw it versus a Wraith King, it was a very obvious choice. You had maybe an extra reason to take it versus those Skeletons, but now this is going to be a little bit of a different Alchemist. Now we really need to see if this is going to work out in NA pubs, in NA Dota.
of course, if you're DogChamp, you get the Alchemist, that's going to be a nice play for Stonebank. However, this does now mean that Wildcard are going to be able to whittle down that offlane pool for speed even further. So he was already kind of looking at, as you said, maybe having to play a new hero, not going to have the A-listers or maybe even the sort of B tier of offlane options left after these bans. But I feel like at this point, they feel like Stonebank on the Alk is going to work better for them than taking whatever would have been left in the off.
Yeah, and thinking of offline bans, feel like possibly the Sand King ban might come out, maybe the Beastmaster, just any hero that's going to be slightly obnoxious. And then I am extremely interested to see what Speed's going to want to play here. And Creeps would do fairly successfully. Okay, DK's still in the pool. Who let him through? But no, at the same time, though, I think, yeah, gotta ban out some Yamsun heroes if you are DogChamp. Do not want to give him just anyone that can farm versus this Alchemist and feel happy about going late. If anything, I think Wildcard are the ones that actually need a hero that kind of does it all for them. They need really a lot more Roche potential. They need a lot more building damage right now, aside from nuking out creep waves. And they're very good at nuking out creep waves. And we always talk about with this pit where defending your mid tower and extending that laning stage is a key component for this hero. It's just what can you pick now for Yamsun to really make that space and really play in the space that this Pit Lord's got to create? Or is Pit Lord going to become a problem for you where he's taken farm that Yamsun would otherwise love to take away from him? It's a really hard line to toe, but that's also where they've got to pick first. They do have to pick into the matchup here. I think anything with the team fight spell, a stun, something that's going to be able to kill the Roshan is going to be something happy for Yamsun here. Don't think we're going to see a hero like maybe, let's say, the Jug doesn't really feel the best, even though I do kind of like the idea of a healing ward in this game, just because these fights are going to go long. It's kind of something attributed to the Alchemist, but, well, that's your slightly better Battle Fury carry. That's no anti-mage, but a PA will at least be able to farm it. That is a PA that can kill anyone in this game.
Yeah, the damage is absolutely going to be there. You've got the Grimstroke to back her up, which is always a plus, considering the PA, for decent portions of the game, is kind of vulnerable to counterplay. So, see if Wildcard can maybe get that sort of hit and run tactic from the PA doing that damage. In the meantime, for DogChamp, oh, what do they want to lane against this Phantom Assassin? They really don't have a lot of time to think this one
Yeah.
over. 3 seconds.
Is it Axe? No.
Okay.
They go back for the tiny, and that's a little bit of a playmaker to kind of alleviate your Storm Spirit when it comes to going in, and I do believe they were going to need to pick up a Blink Dagger carrier just because anyone that goes in is going to be so much pressure off of Rioya, but at the same time, you've got limited damage, you're going to be taking a little bit more farm. It's those hills and valleys that you get with this tiny hero where post 20 minutes into this game, will you have made enough plays? Will you have been successful enough? It's another killer, it's another hunter, and all of the supports need to be so careful in this game positioning wise. Everybody is just gonna die. I mean, Bane, Grimstroke, Coddle, Rubik, nobody has an HP pool. Nobody's all too tanky. It's where it is going to be a game of the initiation. Who's going to get who first? Who sees who first? And that's where, unfortunately, for DogChamp, with a lot of their previous strategies, they had speed on a hero that could go in, give all this vision for Ryoya to get the perfect jump. You didn't need another initiator because you had speed, giving just really the entire team fight positioning away from the opposing team. But now it's all going to be about that vision game from Bloody Nine. It's all going to be about what this Rubik's actually able to get down before a fight goes off. And if the fight gets off on the bad foot, I feel like you could get hard punished if you're DogChamp.
Well, gotta take a risk at a certain point, right? We're into the lower bracket finals, so not sure there's a sort of safe and easy path to get past Wildcard, but we shall see what DogChamp have up their sleeves here as we are loading into that first game. As a reminder, this is the lower bracket final, so this is an elimination matchup. Winner does advance to the best of 5 grand final against Nouns later on today. So quite a bit at stake here as we do get this one underway, and now is probably a good time, or maybe not if you're a DogChamp fan, to sort of take a look at what DogChamp have done in this event. They've won 3 straight matchups in the lower bracket. They've been kind of the SA killers. We've been sort of jokingly saying to them because they've been able to win against all those South American teams. In Pro Series 11 ET, they're 11-3 against South American teams. Against North American teams, 4-4. So not getting beat down, but not dominant either.
Yeah, it's definitely a mixed bag. It's maybe you could say unfortunate. And during that group stage, that was also where, unfortunately for DogChamp, they were still trying to incorporate Fade. They were still trying to pass between him and Ryoya. And I think once they got into that lower bracket, it has just been speed Ryoya, speed Ryoya, speed Ryoya. And I think having that stability, just knowing who you're going to play with the day of, must be a factor that's been playing into them, because they have just felt like more of a solid group. And I think that certainly comes into play here, because they have now had a few games under their belt with this team specifically. And of course, it's not going to stick around forever. You know, you're going to be sad. Once the DPC starts, all these players are going to go back to their normal teams. But at the end of the day, this is their run. This could be a big opportunity for them.
Well, they go for something a little bit different from what we might have been expecting, but against Wildcard, you know, there's something to be said for some flexibility. Wildcard and Nouns in particular, already squads that have sort of built up a reputation for their ability to widen their hero pool. So if you're DogChamp, well, why not show your opponents that you can do the same as you get the laning stage underway. And ET, if you're DogChamp, what exactly does this bottom lane look like here? Because Speed and Yaren, I suppose under the right circumstances, Avatos into an Illuminate could get you a kill, but are they going to look for that, or is this more of just a farming lane for the Tiny?
This is 100% farming lane, but the Nightmare level 1. Sammy Boy just gets 5 or 6 free trades in, and you just can't do anything. It's just too quick and too fast. I mean, Sammy Boy was already pestering him in the lane, but yeah, should just be a farming lane. They'd love to shut down the PA. It will get to a point where perhaps the PA is going to feel a little bit pressured, but it's also where if you get the Orb of Corrosion up on this Phantom Assassin, and honestly, from Wildcard, I maybe expected them to pair it with the Grimstroke just because they could get maybe a little bit more aggressive with the Inkswell, but if Sammy Boy's just going to pull out plays like that, then this is going to look great for them.
At least you have that sort of Illuminate nuke damage coming in periodically. Yaren's still going to be able to help out on that front, but now, well, now they've got a bit of an equilibrium problem. Sammy got the pull off, so this wave is going to push into Yamson's tower. They're going to go again. Nightmare for full duration. They get the slow from the dagger. Yaren has nothing because he's still level 1. That's a nice avalanche, though, from Speed. Will that be enough, though? They need to get vision back on Yaren, and they're unable to do so. So Speed is going to save the day, at least for the time being.
Yeah, and that's where once these heroes do start to get low on the Radiant side, you can look for those plays with the Tiny, with the Avatos. Once Speed hits level 4, then he'll actually have his toss. We'll see if he goes for the 1-1-1 build or just the 2-1-1, which is a little bit more likely, but that's where I think you will see that stability kind of get there for the Tiny. And that really is the only thing you can do. Just use your magic to edge out these trades and then hope for the best. Unfortunately, Yarn doesn't have a large camp, otherwise he would be happily stacking and pulling, but that's also where Yarn can afford to go back to his triangle and stack. Speed should be relatively safe here, and once the Tiny gets level 6, well, then you can't really kill him with this wildcard lane.
Just got to try and bide their time. In the meantime, looking over to the other side of the map here, Stonebank on the Alchemist. Again, just sort of looking to grab as much farm as possible, and, well, I don't know. This kind of feels like a similar situation. On the wildcard side, I don't really know if Devi and Alexo can do anything until points get up in the Pit of Malice, which typically does not come very early. So if you're Devi, well, last hits and experience are going to look pretty damn good for him as well. He's sitting at 15 and 3 already.
And just so much base damage to play with. It's where Atrophy Aura is such a value skill level 1, and that's also where Stonebank... Ooh, that was
a little bit too far forward there. He's dead.
Yeah, that's an ugly death to give away there, and I was just about to mention, I don't think that they can actually make that play in this lane until Devi gets his boots, because he hasn't gotten his boots just yet. He's been greeting out, he's bought a lot of small items along the way, but yeah, stepped up too forward for the wave, just positioned for the range creep in, and doing so, they found a very small opportunity, but they'll take that every day of the week. At least you'll have Bloody Nine in the jungle stacking, and he already is making support rotations right now. I think he's going for the water rune first, but it's where you don't want Stonebank to give up another death like that, because with these ultra carries, all it takes is 2 or 3, and then suddenly you really can see yourself very far behind.
It's an interesting play from Esk. He uses the Dissimulate, but rather than go for the water rune, he actually just kind of pulls back onto his own side. Of course, I think part of that may have been because this ward scouted out that B9 was making the rotation and was trying to not get himself sort of caught in the pincer maneuver, but that does leave him at a disadvantage. Doesn't have that bottle refill, and now Alexo and Bloody Nine are just trading some right clicks around the Roche pit. Nothing major, but interesting moves. Both sides sort of rotating down. Alexo was able to deny the water rune, so it doesn't help the Void Spirit, but it does prevent him maybe from falling further behind.
Yeah, and really, mid lane, of course, it's Void versus Storm, right? It's going to be a very even matchup. Maybe you could say that the Void can play a little bit more for denies because he can sit in a creep wave maybe a little bit prettier, but that's also where, as we always talk about, it's a race to level 6. It's who gets their ultimate first. Unfortunately, I don't think S can make any cool play where the creep wave dies, then he gets an Astral Step, just a little bit too low mana. It's where Riolia might be your aggressor in that regard, but that's also where, in 50 seconds time, whether or not these teams play really heavily for that 6-minute rune could be the first pace changer.
Who do you think at this point ET is in that sort of better position to make that rotation? Because Sammy is still contributing quite a bit down in the bottom lane, and at this point, as we saw, if Bloody Nine steps out of the lane, Stonebank could potentially sort of get run at if he overextends, so who's going to sort of bring the supports over to try and protect those runes?
I think that's where, in the side lanes, DogChamp want to leave their carry in their off lane alone as much as possible, so we might see the supports from Wildcard show up to the fight with some slightly higher levels, but oh, Sammy. He jungled for his level 6 on the Storm, and gotta wake him up. Didn't give him a chakra, but let's see it. It's so close, and he got it.
Well, it's a good placement on the Remnant, just not quite the right timing, as the right click was still in the air, and that is actually DogChamp's first kill of the game. Meanwhile, what's going on in the jungle? B9 running into Alexo. Grimstroke very nearly finds that kill, but not quite having the damage to finish the job. So, on the one hand, you do sort of ambush the Rubik a little bit, prevent him from stacking or making a rotation, but now where does Alexo go? He doesn't have to go back up top. The 1v1 for your Devi Underlord is looking pretty good, so they're going to make the rotation mid. They brought both the supports over, but DogChamp are doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's where they want to tank, they want to make time, but Bloody Nine might have given the play they were looking for.
Nice timing on those abilities, and yeah, as you point out, they had a ward that didn't give them maybe full vision over where the Rubik was, but gave them enough of an idea to make that jump in, and, well, it's not aggression onto Riolia, but honestly, if you're going to bring 3 heroes into the middle lane, you need a kill of some sort.
Yeah, you get something, and more importantly, you get Sammy Boy out of bottom lane. He gets to play some more vision over in the stacks here for Stonebank, and Stonebank will just kind of say, "What's up? I got my level 6 in the lane." But with Sammy Boy gone for so long, yeah, they make the play on the Yamsun. Yamsun, who's just slowly regenerating bottom, doesn't have any burst healing. He's not going to buy his own healing. Just has the Ring of Health and gets kind of picked off here. But that's where you do have a problem with your DogChamp. Stonebank wants to farm these stacks. He wants to do this right now,
Look at
but
all the heroes they're bringing, though. They want Stonebank, or maybe they don't. They're going to try and go for an easier kill. B9 is just kind of further forward than his teammates, and now, if they can't find the kills, they're going to try and steal the stacks. Ryoyo, though, is here, and he doesn't want to let it go. He's going to try to force the fight. Sammy dropping low. Ryoyo zipping forward. There's the unstable concoction coming out as well. That is going to be enough to grab one kill in return. Yarn, meanwhile, with the Illuminate, did clean up the rest of the stack, but now Yamsun is actually into the fight. They're just going to go straight in onto Stonebank, and that's one of the weirder ones I think I've seen, ET, at the 8-minute mark. That's just about everybody Wildcard had available, just pushing into the north side jungle. And, Esk wanted it, but he didn't have the Remnant back up.
yeah, and it's remarkable that we didn't see any rotation coming in from Speed. He is just in that off-lane mentality of just, I'm going to come get to you guys once I have my blink tag, once I have my item. I'm not going to show up to this fight. Also, very interesting that they don't jump the Alchemist initially there. They go for the level 3 Rubik instead, and sure, at the end of the day, they get both kills, but I feel like that's just a fantastic TP from Yamsun, knowing that his team needs him, if anything, to be another carrier for that Inkswell. And with that, it's just beautifully executed from them. And Stonebank actually TP'd back top. He didn't retreat deeper into his jungle, but now he's going to get kind of cut off farm-wise. And with all the vision placed, well, they're looking for a plan to B9, and they might have to work for a little bit more. But with the step and the raindrop, takes a little bit, but he gets picked off there. At the same time, though, you do lose your bait in the bottom lane.
Yeah, Sammy's just trying to hold this down by himself as best as he can, but, well, it's a Bane. He's level 4. There's not too much he can do. The good news, I suppose, is that these deaths are slowing potential progress to take this tier 1 tower down bot, so at least you have that going for yourself, and on the other side of the map, your cores are finding equivalent kills.
Yeah, and we do need to see, I think, from DogChamp a little bit more play in this top jungle. I mean, you already see how many visions and how much warding is already been done by the wildcard side. And at this point, you need to carve out a way for Stonebank to actually farm up his items here. He's really been put underneath a lot of pressure. I mean, you already see he's behind Devi in terms of farm. Hasn't really gotten his opportunity too much here. And with Speed anchoring bottom, you're not going to see this Alk really start to pop off here. And Speed, he's been doing a great job. He's been playing, honestly, this Tiny more like an Axe than a Tiny at this stage of the game. He will finally get the tier 1 tower here, but as opposed to just blitzkrieging the tower, he's been focusing of pulling into the small camp, really just trying to hunker down and get this blink as fast as humanly possible, but in doing so, has not been able to rotate really in any form, even though, arguably speaking, he is the strongest hero on his team right now, right alongside the Storm Spirit.
Meantime, up top, Bloody 9.
Yeah.
Just getting bullied at this point. Esk high-fives him, high-fives the tower, picks up a kill. 3-0-2 now for your Void Spirit, so he has certainly been making some early rotations, and you compare that to the Storm on the other side, who's been a little less active, although as I say that, they're getting some damage onto Sammy. The Nightmare, though, is down, and there's no one to really remove it immediately, so Sammy's going to make a run for it, and Ryoyo would rather not blow all of his mana trying to chase.
Yeah, kind of agree with him as well. Not worth it, even though he has the triple null and got a Fairy's Trinket, as Storm Spirit somehow always find a way to do. But that's also where 10-minute cart's still alive, and actually the huge jump in mid from Esk, and well, Yaren's just dead.
Okay. That was a Fiend's Gate from Devi to quickly get them over, and now I was going to say maybe they could push this tier 1, but their creep wave already got kind of cleaned up, so not quite having that opportunity after all, but still a nice kill onto Yarn. It gets them back from that sort of group up that they were going for top, and well, Sammy is kind of halfway scouting some of these opposing heroes. Obviously can't get too close, otherwise he's dead because he's still just a Bane, but trying to keep tabs on them just in case his teammates want to come over to help. And see, Esk and Alexo are smoked up. If they could time this out perfectly, they're going to try and bait him. The silence, it will connect at a certain point, but The Inkswell doesn't. They do still get the Aether Remnant. They need more damage. They get the Fiend's Grip onto Stonebank, so he's not going to be able to contribute to this fight. But Speed comes in on the back line. They lock down Sammy. Alexo's dropping low. But actually, he's not the main concern. It's Esk who actually got caught out and taken down. Devi now sort of stuck in the middle as well. He tried to just effectively suicide for the kill onto the Storm Spirit, and he gets the dying part, right? But not the kill part, as the Storm is able to get away.
Yeah, and what a way for Speed to reveal his Blink Dagger there. He gets the entire backline. They're just a little bit too far forward, and even though you get the leash off, your Fiend's Grip gets canceled immediately. That was without the Spirit Form as well from Yarn. I thought Heal was going to come through and heal everybody up, but it was more so that Esk ran out of damage onto Ryoya, and then Ryoya says, hey, I got the DD. I'm just going to right-click you to death. I'm leashed, but I am completely calm here. None of that damage actually ends up landing in without a pit, without any control coming in from your Pit Lord. They just get to really walk away in that situation. A situation where I felt like Wildcard had that dive completely under control, but, well, now they're exploding in the early mid-game here. They go for a smoke immediately after winning that play. They don't get the mid-tower, but if you're not careful here on Wildcard, could see that backline shattered again. It's where DogChamp are constantly going to be looking for those tiny plays. It's how Speed is going to find his farm for really the rest of the game here. And toss on Devi?
Okay. This is not an easy kill for them, but they're going to give it a go. Devi trying to hold his ground. Falling back for now, though, as Esk does jump in. But where is their damage? ET, they don't hit hard enough. They've got to back off.
Yeah, and, well, it ends up being a smoke into smoke, but Devi has to pit Fiend's Gate all the way back to the base, and, well, nothing happens. And right now, if you're DogChamp, you're okay with nothing happening for at least a little bit, and I do believe the smoke is going to fail here. If they find Yamson, that'd be insane.
No.
Oh, wow. He farmed the camp.
Blink, Avatos, zip in. B9 nabs the kill there with the Fade Bolt, and that is very big. The PA had just sort of been minding her business for quite some time, but that is going to be a setback. And now B9 with the Stolen Dissimulate actually kind of sidesteps this gank. I think he's still going down here. No, he's not. He stole the Astral Step. Oh, B9 is, he's a player. He knows what he's doing. That's just brutal. That's a dodge of, what, 4 heroes on him, and just walks away.
No, it's sick. And you would have loved to still have the Dissimulate. Of course, with Rubik, you like having those types of spells. As, I think now he's getting a little crazy. But also giving away that they might have some high ground vision there as they do ping out the ward pretty quickly. But Feed script in the mid lane, yeah.
But again, where's the damage? Devi can't do it by himself.
And then, yep, and then the pulse comes through from the Spirit Form, and then the Illuminate heals him up, and they're just too split right now. They need to get some semblance of control of your wild card. They need these 4 heroes to hit every spell in succession, because they are starting to hit kind of that mid-game hump magic damage-wise. It's where you really need to look at that Aghanim Scepter from Esk, but unfortunately, it looks like they're just going to get played on. It's where he's kind of getting forced in here. Speed didn't really look like he wanted to make that jump, but B9 says, nah, it's fine. Let's just kill this guy.
At this point, the Rubik, I mean, he's in a pretty solid spot. You take a look at his levels. He's sitting at level 8, which is maybe a little ways behind some of the cores, but in terms of the supports, it's definitely up there. So he's got that little bit of extra sort of damage and reliability so that Speed doesn't have to worry about a counterplay. Although at this point, ET repeatedly mentioning the sort of lack of damage on Wildcard when the PA is not involved, so Speed honestly may not have to worry regardless of whether B9's there. They just don't seem to have the damage to kill him. Maybe they can get the Rubik, though. Much easier kill for them. Although B9 still has the stolen Astral, so was able to get away. Stonebank, unfortunately, self-stuns, so they can't lock Esk down, and the Void Spirit is going to try to get away. B9 actually tried to go back in. That was maybe ill-advised, but it is going to bait Esk into the fight. They will find that kill. They are very much okay with that trade-off, but they need to make sure they don't lose more. Unfortunately, Yarn is unable to walk away. Devi gets the kill.
Yeah, and, well, you still get the kill on the Void Spirit. Felt like Esk could have just walked out, but instead decided to take a body with him. But at the same time, while all of these small plays have been made across the map from DogChamp's side, Stonebank has just been farming, and Stonebank will show up to the fight sooner than Yamsun. Yamsun's just sitting on a Battle Fury right now, and they're pinging in the top lane. Oh, they've got him. Oh, wow.
There is help coming. Will it be enough to matter, though? Yamsun, nope. Not going to be able to be helped. Alexo's TP was a bit of an extended one, it looked like there, so a little bit of extra time to get him into the fight cost them as Ryoya finds the kill, and now we're getting into dangerous territory, right, ET? 0-3 on your PA, you're already going up against an Alchemist, and you're being set back rather significantly.
And they're trying to stun up speed quite a lot here, but I don't know if they have enough magic damage for this. And now, gotta be so careful.
Vortex still hit.
Toss.
It's a nice Fiend's Grip from Sammy, but it's not going to last very long. Speed is still walking away. B9 comes in with the Fade Bolt. They'll take down S. Illuminate flying through as well, doing a nice bit of damage. This is just getting a little bit awkward. Ryoya, though, is rooted up and low on HP, but he's able to zip back in onto Divide, pulls him in with the Vortex. Nightmare is going to be used defensively, but it won't matter. Sammy dead. Alexo falls soon after, and Divide is going to get cleaned up. Bloody 9 gets a damn triple kill on the Rubik. Okay. That's the kind of game that we're in right now.
You got the Brain Sap, you got the Fade Bolt. He was doing a ton of damage there, but that's also the Spirit Vessel from Yaren doing so much work. These tanky heroes are not feeling tanky in the slightest, and you don't see anything like that on the Wildcard side. I feel like Wildcard are just kind of rushing in and ramming their heads against this DogChamp wall, and they're kind of getting outplayed right now, frankly speaking. And at the same time, now DogChamp have waltzed themselves into a double BKB timing with both the Storm Spirit and the Alchemist. This is their easy road to victory. If they get on themselves onto a tier 2, of course, once you get the AC, then the Alch taking a tier 2 seems like almost a factor that's going to be played into here, but it's where you've got to be scared right now if you're Wildcard. You need Yamsun to have this BKB. You need your PA ready to show up to at least some of these fights, but in the meantime, it feels like the magic damage is just way too much for them to deal with. I think you might lose Yaren here. There's a lot of heroes coming in the setup, but it's where B9, he's also set up. Fiend's Gate, though, kind of splits off everything.
Lifts himself onto the high ground, but that's not going to be enough. Yamsun gets in there to secure what is his first kill of the game, so well, finally a step in the right direction here for Wildcard. The problem is it still leaves them down 13k, so I don't know. You said earlier on they were kind of bashing their heads against the wall, ET. How would you play this? If you're the captain of Wildcard here, do you ease off of the aggression? Do you just try and play defensively for the PA, or what's the move?
I think if I'm Sammy Boy, give S the bottom lane, give Divine mid, let them get their BKBs, let him get his Aghanim Scepter. In the meantime, we could maybe try setup play, smoke with our Fiend's Grip. They want to still make this play every time it's up, every 2 minutes with that Fiend's Grip on Sammy Boy, but it's where I think they need to actually cause DogChamp to split up on the map, because right now what's been happening is they've been playing as a 4-man unit. It's 4 protect 1 effectively with their Bound of Fury carry, and then they get caught and then they die, and unfortunately it looks like they're going to get a caught again. This is another really great smoke. They're going to kill the PA off first. It looks like Alexo is probably able to TP out, just zipped a little bit too far on Ryoya, but now they get the refocus on mid. Wildcard just need to stop playing as a team. I think if they adopt that split push style, they'd probably be finding a little bit more success here, because as it stands right now, DogChamp are taking the team fight and winning the team fight and then getting their gold that way.
If you're DogChamp, at what point do they start maybe focusing in a little bit more on these objectives? Because they haven't really hit up any of those tier 2s just yet, and they've got pretty sizable advantage. They're finding these pickoffs, but Ryoya in some trouble. Fiend's Grip blocking him down. They need this kill, and they will get it. That's a big one for Wildcard, but well, that kind of just leads back into my question. Wildcard aren't going to be passive forever, ET. So if you're DogChamp, do you start looking a little bit more heavily into pushing down some of these lanes?
It really is going to come from the AC on the Alchemist. I think that's where Stonebank is going to say, okay, guys, I can win this game for you. Just let me get onto a building, and then it's just going to work. But that kill onto Rhea is also just super nice from Sammy Boy. Just not an angle I think any Storm Spirit would expect from getting gripped on the low ground like that. And of course, he pings out the word after the fact, but, you know, it's still unfortunate. But, well, if you're Wildcard, about to finish the BKB on the Vilama, your Ags is getting shipped out to you right now on the Void Spirit. Unfortunately, you don't have a Fiend's Grip, so you're a little bit weak right now, but I think that's also where DogChamp, now it's their time to smoke. They kind of want a revenge play right now. There's a smoke over on B9. I feel like they're going to smoke out of their triangle, and then it's up to Wildcard to dodge this fight, and they're smoking as 3, but this 3-man unit on Wildcard's side is not really that strong. Aside from that double Resonant Pulse Silence, no Fiend's Grip. This feels like a little bit of a stretch. I'm a little bit concerned if they would actually clash here. I feel like this is almost a godsend for them to miss, but it's where DogChamp are digging in real deep.
They're way up to the north. Stonebank is going to just sort of preemptively get that unstable precaution going. He jumps in, stuns 4! Fight's over, boys. That is not okay. I mean, they didn't know he was coming, but you can't be that grouped up. 4-man unstable concoction, 4-man Avatos combo. It's just way too easy for DogChamp.
What just happened? How did they let that happen? I mean, the only hero they saw in that situation was Divide. That was a jump. Imagine the surprised shock on DogChamp's face when they jumped and they see it's 4 heroes. But okay, well, that's your acceleration into the mid game. That's your first roast of the game. 22 minutes into the game, given over to the Storm Spirit. I don't know what to say. My mouth is agape. This is not okay. And well, everybody gets back to the base. Wildcard have a full map reset they have to deal with now. Even Yamson has to run back to the base and look for his BKB kind of somewhere else. Once he has BKB, it's going to be a game of whether or not we can kill these supports. I don't think we're allowed to let this Rubik or Coddle live any longer. They've been way too annoying here, but also, man, Speed is just finding these initiations. He is just on fire today, and he almost has his BKB, and yep, there it is. He's got a BKB on the Tiny, disassembles the Echo Saber. DogChamp are so ready for this next fight, and I don't know if a BKB on the PA is really going to change all too much at this stage. Because now, with these BKBs, what does this Aghanim Scepter on Void Spirit do? The timings are just completely messed up for Wildcard.
They are going to struggle in this next fight for sure. Not to mention, B9, he got himself an Aether Lens, so he's going to have even more sort of range to work with. So what you were saying previously with Wildcard needing to make sure that B9 and Yarn go down, well, they can maintain a crazy amount of distance here, so you would have to go all in on the back line with your sort of major damage dealers and leave the rest of your lineup open to counterattack from DogChamp cores. So they're really just forced into a rough situation. And Stonebank, okay, he's not going to slow down. AC is complete. Now the push comes, as you said, tier 3 tower already below half HP. No response from Wildcard as of yet, and Speed just gets tired of waiting. Jumps in, hits Sammy, quick and easy kill. What's the response? Sammy will buy back, but Speed pops the BKB, walks away. Esk not really getting those silences down. They do catch Bloody 9. No, they don't. They can't actually finish him off. And Divide, what is that? Didn't really have the element of surprise that I think he thought he did. He just TPs into the middle of 5 and gets taken down.
Yeah, but now I feel like this is just a free Rax. You can't really do anything. Your PA doesn't have BKB. You're kind of stuck in the fountain at this point. Your high ground defender is dead because he Fiends gated onto the back line. At the very least, it's a single lane of Rax. They can't immediately swing for the mid tier 3, but I feel like that's where you're DogChamp right now. You don't look at top. You look at mid, and then you look at the mid tier 3 after you get this tier 2 tower. If they really want to, they could be the aggressors here. With this glyph being on cooldown for 4 minutes, I can only imagine that's going to be the call to be made here. I don't think they're going to look to give away that glyph immediately back to their opponents here, but also look at this. If they battle for the high ground vision here, oh, this is a very scary position to be in. Bloody 9, very aware that he could die in the cliff here, and he places this ward that he's placed the entire tournament that has caught so many different 5s off guard, where this observer ward just lasts for 7 minutes. We gotta be so careful here, and Stonebank make the blind jump, or does he decide to wait? They get the D ward, and then suddenly Wildcard's play is dead. They have to split across the map now.
Yeah, they don't really have an option to go head-to-head at this point, but the problem is, well, if you try to split now, DogChamp are kind of knocking on your door again. Tier 2 mid was just taken, so you would love to send heroes out and just split push these lanes, but you always need to be conscious of the fact that DogChamp could just come sort of right at you if they want to.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Stonebank. He's looking at the Heart. Heart or Overwhelming Blink are both so great in this game. Doesn't really die to the PA with the AC, has just a little bit too much armor, and you know we're not going to see Adesso just magically appear on this PA. It's where he's not even showing in the bottom lane, because as of right now, on Wildcard side, they see no one. That's why Devi's TPing top. He's expecting them to be bottom, but if Devi's not careful here, still doesn't have his BKB. He has enough gold for it in a second here, but
Bought the shard instead.
Okay, he bought the shard, and then I think he got griefed by his quick buy, so then he immediately sold it. And the BKB is flying out now, but it's where did they see him walk in the trees? That's going to be the next question, but they're going for the safer option if you're DogChamp. They will be able to get the glyph back. And, oh! BKB, though, with the chain stun.
Well, BKB doesn't do you much good if you don't ever get to pop it, as Savai gets taken down, and since he bought that BKB, that means he has no buyback, so this is just straight to the high ground. Going in, still have the Aegis for how long? 30 seconds? So they can afford to do quite a bit here, and Wildcard are not in a position to really do anything about this, or even sending that Wraith Pact forward just to make sure Wildcard aren't going to try any funny business here.
Yeah, no. Wraith Pact, what an anomaly of an item, but
Speed?
let's see it.
He could spot somebody. Okay, Esk is going to just jump in for him. They're going to try and make this fight happen. Yamsun's in as well, but they actually just go straight for Sammy on the backline. They're going to be able to take him down. Esk will be dropping as well, so Yamsun is basically fighting alone. Buyback coming in from Esk, but he won't get here in time. PA will be taken down. That Fiend's Gate, you don't want to go there, Divide, but he's going to do it anyway. BKB pop. They're trying desperately to make anything happen, trying to get onto Stonebank as best as they can, but they just don't have the damage, and they realize it. That's the GG called, and boy, that is a quick and one-sided victory for DogChamp to open this one up.
Yeah, and we've seen Wildcard lose their lanes. We've seen Wildcard lose early, and we've seen them really crumble in on themselves. And I feel like that was not what we saw here today. They were making plays. They were the aggressors. They were the ones putting themselves out into a lot of these situations, but then just not reacting appropriately. It began with Speed's Blink in the mid lane, where they got a quad kill there. It began in top lane, wherever they just kill everybody in quick succession, where they just overextend. I think it's just a little bit of separation from the wildcard side. There are a few too many moments where Esk is just not attached to Alexo. They don't get a clean Inkswell kill. Divide isn't coming with the follow-up pit. Divide didn't have pit until I think level 9 or level 10, and even then it's only a level 1 pit. And then the game just kind of spirals out of control. But you also cannot exaggerate on DogChamp's side. Super solid play. Bloody Nine balled out on his Rubik. Individual skill alone. He was just owning, finding the exact right skills, taking so long to die. He died 6 times into this game, and you'd say that, and you'd be like, wait a second. Other Rubiks in this game have been dying 14, 13 times over and over again, and this was not Bloody Nine. Bloody Nine was so obnoxious. He was everywhere he needed to be. It ended up becoming a great Rubik game in the draft. Was leading with the Bane and the Pit Lord, but then getting all those Grimstroke spells to throw out, and then it's funny to see him use as many Void Spirit spells as he did, because that's not the target you'd usually expect, but honestly, him and Speed just kind of own the mid game. Ryoya's on his signature, and then Stonebank on this Alchemist. We've only seen it twice, but I think you got to start looking at this hero a little bit more if you're Wildcard, because this is the second time where it just felt like Stonebank got to do whatever he wants, gets his Radiance, get his BKB, maybe through your hard effort, you delay it by 1 or 2 minutes, but at the end of the day, he still gets it, and you're still unready for that fight.
I bet, sort of talking about Speed, we got to talk to him yesterday. I can imagine right now, 9-0 and 14 on his Tiny after they banned out about 5 or 6 of his heroes, so he is probably still in the process of laughing his ass off right now, because they focused so much on him. He was still able to get a hero that he just massively outplayed his opponents on.
Yeah, and I think that's where you gotta look for Speed. When he does make his Div 1 appearance, it's gonna be fun to see what he's able to do, and what he's gonna do versus some of those stronger captains. You know, seeing the big boy offlaners going up versus players like Dubu is always a treat to see, whether or not Dubu just kind of spits in their face like he has been for the better part of a year. But that's also where, coming into game 2 here, I think Wildcard, they had it. They were the plays. It can't reiterate it enough. They were the ones making the aggressive moves for so long, but it's just where their quad of heroes, their 4 active makers, just kind of fell short this game in a draft that I thought they were very pleased with. I felt like they got exactly what they want. And I think in that early game, you notice whenever Wildcard had a successful play happen, it's with Yamsun getting involved. It's with him deciding to make that choice to come to the fight maybe a little bit sooner than you typically see. But I think Yamsun is on a hero that isn't really adept at making those plays. And once he decided, guys, I got to go finish my Battle Fury, this is not going to be a timing, you really started to see Wildcard lack in just any initiation and anybody to go in. And I think that's where, unfortunately, the 3-4-5 in this game for Wildcard, they're just not really a cohesive group. They were pretty much all in on Esk to go in at that point, with Divide put on this lackluster offlaner. And you don't want that situation for yourself. It really is kind of crazy to see how good a wildcard game, early game, they had, and how it kind of all fell short in the mid game. But it's where game 2, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like you said, it seemed like they were sort of pleased with themselves with that draft, but obviously the execution kind of betrays them, and the timing really didn't work out for them. So we might see something similar in game 2 with only minor adjustments based on how Wildcard feel, but there are going to have to be some sort of adjustments, whether it's draft-wise or play-wise, because they did not look fantastic in this opening game. But that's what game 2 is for. We are going to have at least one more here. DogChamp, now the winners of 7 straight matches here in this playoff bracket. They would love to make it 8 and just punch that ticket to the grand final. Wildcard, though, presumably we'll still have something left to say about that. So we are going to be stepping away here for a couple of minutes. When we return, it will be the start of game 2 between DogChamp and Wildcard. So stick around. We will be right back.